back with Winning with Water, back on our podcast. Good to see you again, Bill. I am Donald Duncan, consultant. Bill, tell us about yourself a little bit. It's been a while. I wonder if people forgot about us.
Yeah, man. I don't think they forgot us. You're pretty unforgettable.
Ah,
No, I've been on the road, man. I've been seeing you on the road. We're out there, beating the bushes for water, and that's what we do, man.
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's been great. Very excited about where the industry is going, and it's good to be a part of what's happening on a national level. What do you think?
Oh man, I just started this, some working down here in the local area with the water workforce, and we're focusing on getting jobs in a pool so that everybody that's looking for a water job can go to this one resource. And it's kind of fun to be involved in that. I got suckered into it, but it's a really good thing. We think in the 6 months we'll have a nice little mechanism for people to use to get jobs and to draw people to the industry. I think it's going to be fun.
Excellent. And you are really close to becoming the speaker of the WEF House of Delegates. How do you feel, and what's it looking
I'm
like for
really
you in the
nervous.
moments?
No, I'm not nervous. I think it's intense, and it's just such an honor to be a part of such a great organization like WEF, and follow in the footsteps of great people like yourself, who is the past Speaker of the House for WEF. And I think obviously we're on there speaking, so we do speak pretty well. So I think that's why they pick us. But it's really nice to have the voice out there that can actually bring people from all over, mostly North America, but most everywhere, bring people together and have that one voice for water at WEF.
Well, congratulations to you. Looking forward to your leadership. And today, speaking of leadership, we're going to focus on one water, winning with one water. And I'm going to start with a definition to make
Oh
it
yeah.
easy for us to frame the conversations. The U.S. Water Alliance gives this definition: the one water approach envisions managing all water in an integrated, inclusive, and sustainable manner to secure a bright, prosperous future for our children, our communities, and our country. And I'm a structural engineer, so I have no preference as it pertains to where we are in the water cycle. So as a result, for me, it's easy to think uh, one water, because for me, the only thing that matters to me is how do I support it? How do I make sure you have uh, the structural integrity that you need to convey the water, to store the water, to stop the water, whatever you need. I will support you. So one water for me fits right in with my role. But you as a utility leader, what comes to your mind when you think of one water?
Well, we I do water and I do sewer, and so I have both. I have a lot more sewer than I do water, but I think sewer typically has more issues. I would say more challenges because there's a lot more in the water that we might not want to talk about, right? But anyway, there's a lot of things to deal with and a lot of processes to get it dealt with. But with water, clean water is a little a different process. Like you said, it's all about how you deliver the water, and so you got to have good quality water when you're doing drinking water. Stormwater is another whole animal. When it comes to stormwater, there's a lot of other challenges, but I like the way you kind of led in with the structural engineering because we need structures no matter what we do, but in the grand scheme of things, we need engineers no matter what we do, and we need operators no matter what we do. So we've got to have that's the next level. So you're putting it together as a structural engineer, and we're delivering it to the people. And so I think that's where the utility side comes in. Is not only do we have to manage it, we have to deliver it, we have to maintain it, we have to operate it. So it's a little different.
That's a good point. And as you were talking there, I just couldn't help but think about the fact that as kids, we learned about the water cycle, and we were intentionally taught that water is neither created nor destroyed like
Right.
any other matter, and it
Right.
just goes through a cycle. And we were taught how to approach it as this one entity that just changes form, changes location, changes use, but the same water that's always been here. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I go straight back to the Bible, man. I got to go back to the source of life, and water. Let's see if we can pull this scripture from Ecclesiastes 1:7 up on the screen. It perfectly says exactly what you said. All the streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. The streams are flowing to the place and they flow there again. Ecclesiastes 1:7. As you see, this is kind of put in that water cycle you talked about. The sun heats the water evaporates, goes to the sky, and comes back down and does it all over again. So this perfectly says what you just said. This was done way back in Solomon's day, so we're looking, long time ago. This is not changed. Water hadn't changed.
Yeah, because I mean, the concept of the water cycle is no new phenomenon. It's always been what it was. I think now, as scientists,
Mhm.
engineers, as operators, as technical and non technical professionals, we are just embracing the reality of one water. It
Mhm.
is a reality. And I think as humans, we have to adjust the way we approach the things that we do to match what nature has already established.
Exactly.
Nature has already established that it's one cycle. We have to act like it.
Well,
And that way we have to remove our silos. What do you think about that?
yeah, I want to go back into one more thing. Like people that work in water know how exciting it is to work in water. But if you haven't worked in water, one of the things that's just really super cool is what you said. Some of this stuff actually happens on its own. All you got to do, like for wastewater, all you've got to do is put it in the right environment. And there's these bugs that come in, the biological reactions. They just need to be fed. We're not talking about what we're feeding them, right? But the poop in the water, you feed the bugs, you put them in the right environment, and it just happens. So it's a little bit of a natural process. But when you're talking about silos, like there's a lot of people that say, and in my industry, I've seen it all my whole career. I've been doing this for 35 years, and I've always heard people say, "Oh, that's the clean water people. Oh, that's the dirty water people. Oh, what are they? That's stormwater. They don't know anything about what we're doing." Those are not the attitudes we need to have. We need to try to figure out ways to work together and break down these silos you're talking about. Because if we work together to bring people to water, then the old adage is, if you bring the people to the water, they'll drink. Well, that's true. And we've got to work together to bring people to the one water table that we have to build our industry. Because right now, workforce is one of our biggest challenges, and we've got to show them that we're together.
And just to make sure we acknowledge how times have changed, now it's drinking water, clean water,
Yeah,
and storm water.
I like
So
it.
unless they change the name for storm water, but it's drinking water, clean water, storm water. So
Yeah.
uh, times have changed, and it continues to change, and that's good. And the whole concept of reuse is becoming more and more of an important conversation with the changes in the environment, climate change, struggles for source water in certain parts of the country. Uh, Fathers for the World, just this country alone, there are certain areas in the country where there is not the abundance of source water like you may get.
Mhm.
Some of the places we are in the South, I'm in Georgia and you're in South Carolina, where rain doesn't stop. Rain was falling this morning.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
I just was like telling my wife, I was like, man, we're so blessed that we just finished our run, and then the rain fell, so we jumped in the car just in time. So that's how
Actually,
life is always
it
falling.
feels good to get a rain right after a run, right?
Hello, the rain's always falling. So as a result, many of the things that people are stressing out over in other parts of the country, we're not necessarily stressing out about that as much. However, we understand because as one industry, uh, everybody doesn't have access to that much source water like other parts of the country, which means the whole concept of one water is more than just something as a nice to have. It is essential to
Yeah,
how we operate.
I think you really kind of prompt me to think about some things on climate change. And I remember we used to call it global warming, but it's more than that. It's cyclical and is cooling, warming, storming. I mean, there's so many things that are happening in the environment. And I go back to I worked with FEMA a little bit on some jobs, and when you start talking about certain areas that have not had water, and then all of a sudden they get this deluge of water, then you've got flooding that you've never had. You got damages to your water, wastewater treatment plants. You've got flooding that creates just havoc on houses, and you've got too much water. And then you got other areas where all of a sudden now you've got a drought that you've never had. You've got areas where you had snow melt and now you don't have snow melt. I mean, there's so many dynamics that we need people to come and solve these problems, because we've got challenges that are going to come that we're not even recognizing yet with climate change. And if we don't have engineers and operators and workers to come in and innovate and figure out how to save this planet, this is where we are. We're in probably the most interesting job that anyone could have is in water, because we've got so many different things that we can do, right?
Come on. And as you were talking there, I couldn't help but think about a talk I gave uh, last year, I believe, where I used the parallel between one water and one people.
Oh yeah.
And I do want to bring the conversation from H2O to people
Yeah.
because it's the same concept. It's, hey, we have all these different types of people in our industry or in existence in our country, in our culture that could be in our industry. And
Exactly.
we have to shift our mindset to think of us as all being important, as all bringing value, as all being a part of this continuum of humanity. That if we were to work together, we can get so much more done. I think about you and I. I mean, there is so much difference about us. So much you can say that
Yeah.
he is totally opposite to me. But the truth is, look at what's possible when we could work together. We started off working together in WEF, in the House of Delegates, finding ways to respect each other as human beings first, with value that's innate, and understanding that your value and what you bring to the table, when added to what I bring to the table, is so much better for all of us than for us just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
sticking into our little corner and just doing our thing. So let's go from one water to one people. Let's talk about one
Mm.
people.
Well, I mean, I know, when we start talking about workforce, that's something that's near and dear to my heart. But when we're looking at where we are in the water industry, we're growing, and you've been major in that area. I mean, I've followed you all the way back to like 2015, where you started working in DEI in Georgia. And I've read all of I've read your minutes from your meetings from WEF and from the Georgia Association of Water Professionals. That's how, before I even got to know you, I was reading about you. And so I get back in there and I start thinking, can we even sustain what we've done in the past? And I look at statistics, and I look at these statistics showing, the the aging out process is just incredible right now. Starting in 2024 to 2027, 11,000 people per day, which is the greatest growth ever in aging out to 65. So 11,000 people are turning 65 every single day in the United States. So in 3 years, that's going to equate to somewhere between 30 and 50% of the people being eligible for retirement. So how can we bring the water industry where it needs to be if we don't have that diverse workforce? With the diversity part of it, looking at something like 85% men, 70 something percent white, how can we keep that sustained when there's not going to be that many people of that same demographic to fill those roles? So we have to bring in people of color and especially women. We need women in the water industry like we've never needed anybody before. We need people of color in the water industry, and we need to bring that to the table. And I think you've done an excellent job at that. So tell me, how can we bring people that aren't already at the table to the table?
Well, we have to be proactive. I think there is this mistaken belief that it's going to work itself out.
Mm,
That's what they used to tell Martin Luther King. No, don't make all this noise. Why are you all doing all of this? It's just going to work out. And he was like, we've been waiting 400 years for it to work itself out. Nothing just works itself out. If
never.
somebody's not intentional to do something different, you're not going to get different results. And
Exactly.
we got to be proactive. We got to
But
look at,
there's some guy named Einstein that said that.
hey, you know what I'm saying? Doing the same thing, expecting different results is insanity. And we've been insane for a long time, expecting things to just work out. Well,
Not gonna
just
happen.
just stick with the process. It's going to work out. No, it hasn't worked out before. It's not going to work out now. So, how are we going to do things differently? And I've watched organizations that have been intentional and said, you know what, we are going to increase. I'll give an example: the number of women in leadership in our organization, and we've done it. Why? Because we said we will, and we found ways that were legitimate. Increase the pool, remove the barriers. What are the barriers? What's making it harder for one group to be successful than others? Those are barriers. How can we remove those barriers? How can we give everybody a shot? How can we increase awareness? How can we increase awareness? How can we be more open in terms of opportunities so that more people are aware of the opportunities? And then how can we target certain groups of people, certain demographics, to at least invite them to come to the table? We can't make them
Mhm.
come, but at least we can say, hey, the door's open for you. We're going to remove the barriers. We're going to make it uh, easier for you to get to at least a shot at these opportunities that we do have. Those are some of the simple things that I've seen people do that we don't need to reinvent the wheel concerning. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think where people feel welcome, they're going to come. I mean, if people don't feel welcome when they walk in the room, if everybody gets quiet or everybody says, "Oh, well, they don't look like me," or you don't feel welcome, then you're not going to come back. I think we've changed so much. I know WEF. Both of us have worked a lot at WEF, and I've seen WEF change drastically since probably 2018, 2016. Somewhere in there, we started seeing some change and a lot of positive change. A lot of positive, innovative change for the people content. And I think we've grown so much from that because we can learn so much more by working together. Like you said, it's the same with the water. We can get so much more accomplished when we understand the water cycle. When we understand the people cycle, we can understand things maybe we didn't know, some of the things we thought we knew. And then we meet with other people that are different than us with a different background. We bring so much more to the table, so much more creativity. Diversity brings creativity and innovation.
And you mean, as you said that, it brings us all back to the beginning of the conversation as we wrap this up. Winning with one water. Winning.
Mhm.
When I was in high school, I remember dropping the baton in a 4 by 100. I'll never forget that. When you drop a baton, what you do impacts the entire group. And I believe In this generation, in this industry, we have to make sure we don't drop the battle. We're in
Hmm.
a pivotal time right now where we gotta nail it as it pertains to people, nail it as it pertains to inclusion and belonging, nail it as it pertains to creating a culture where people feel that they're important. And if we drop the baton, we're gonna have that feeling I had, which was, man, I blew it. And everybody else in this team is gonna lose because of me. And we don't want to be that generation that everybody's looking at us like, man, you had an opportunity of a lifetime. Look at what you've done. We got to nail it. And I believe we will. Closing
Well,
thoughts, Bill?
I just think, I enjoy our friendship a lot. You know that, but I enjoy getting to know people and not caring about where they're from or what their relationships or religions or any other thing. I think that you can learn so much more as a person when you're open to hearing different sides of the story. And I think, you gain friendships. Like you and I have known each other now for, I guess, 3 years, but it feels like I've known you longer than that. And I think when you come together and your purpose is to grow as an individual, that you grow not only individually, but you grow together. And I think that what we're seeing, like especially in the House of Delegates, we're seeing a lot of people. It's always been that way. People have always joined together as friends, but I think now our dynamic in the House of Delegates is becoming much broader in the sense of getting to know each other and becoming friends for life. And I think that's a good thing. Broadening our network.
And as you said that, it brought back one last thought I'll slip in. We have to appreciate everybody's story, everybody's
Hmm.
background, and take it for what it is as a plus, as an addition. It's not that, hey, who you are doesn't matter, but who you are matters. And it's a good thing that you are who you are. How can we leverage that?
Yep.
Bring all your differences to the table. Let's make something beautiful out of it. Ladies and gentlemen, winning with water. Good to see you. I'm Donald.
I'm Bill. Hey, we appreciate you.